Hello. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's lesson for intermediate English. Very happy that you could join us. So, we're a little behind schedule, so we're just going to start right away, okay? So, if we remember, last week we were reading a very famous Canadian hockey book, The Hockey Sweater. The Hockey Sweater. So, in The Hockey Sweater, we left off where our hero, our narrator, his mom was ordering him a new hockey sweater. Sorry, this is just a little difficult to get this here. Right here. There he is, dreaming of a new sweater. He's dreaming of a new sweater. And then here, right here, we have his mom who's writing a letter. She's writing a letter to Mr. Eaton. She was writing a letter to Mr. Eaton. So don't worry, we're not going to read the whole book like this. Like this. I will be sharing my screen. So that was where we left off. So I'll share my screen and we can dive into the hockey sweater. Perfect, right here, the hockey sweater. It's bigger. I wonder if I can hide this. Okay, so here we are. Okay, well, it's almost where we are. So we did see the mom was writing the letter, and Hook, our idol, he is dreaming of the hockey sweater. And 2 weeks after his mom wrote the letter, the package arrived. So here he is, running home to open his new hockey sweater. Do we remember from last week? Why did he need a new sweater? He needed a new sweater because the old one was too small because he was growing. So his sweater was too small and it was ripped and had holes in several places. So, no problem. Now he's got a new sweater and he runs home to open it. But that day, I had one of the greatest disappointments of my life. Instead of the red, white, and blue Montreal Canadiens sweater, Mr. Eaton had sent the blue and white sweater of the Toronto Maple Leafs. I had always worn the red, white, and blue sweater of the Montreal Canadiens. All my friends wore the red, white, and blue of the Montreal Canadiens. Never had anyone in my village worn the Toronto sweater. Besides, the Toronto team was always being beaten by the Canadiens. With tears in my eyes, I found the strength to say, I'll never wear that uniform. My boy, said my mother. First, you're going to try it on. If you make up your mind about something before you try it, you won't go very far in this life. My mother had pulled the blue and white Toronto Maple Leaf sweater over my head and put my arms into the sleeves. She pulled the sweater down and carefully smoothed the maple leaf right in the middle of my chest. So, as we see here, the narrator says that the Toronto team was always being beaten by the Canadians. And lo and behold, this man has a newspaper which is saying that Maurice Richard scored 3 goals in what was a game where the Maple Leafs lost 6-0 to the Montreal Canadiens. The Canadians blanked the Maple Leafs 6-0. And in this picture, we see there's an empty box where the sweater was, while everyone else around the box is looking. They're laughing, they're giggling because they know that our star here, Roch Carrier, does not want to wear the Toronto Maple Leaf sweater. And there is his mother holding up the new Maple Leaf sweater as Hook is cowering in fear, doing everything he can to avoid it, as he is desperately clinging to his old, torn, and tattered Montreal Canadian sweater with the number 9 on the back. We do remember who the favorite player is, right? Everyone in the village, everyone on his hockey team, they were all fans of the number 9. This man right here, Maurice Richard, the Rocket. And here we see his friends in the window going to play hockey with the number 9 on their back. And here is Hook, who will now have a Toronto sweater. And there's the package from Mr. Eaton. Saint-Justine, Quebec, where our story takes place. Okay, so now, while wearing the Toronto Maple Leaf sweater, I was crying. I can't wear that. Why not? The sweater is a perfect fit. Maurice Richard would never wear it. You're not Maurice Richard. Besides, it's not what you put on your back that matters. It's what you put inside your head. You'll never put in my head to wear a Toronto Maple Leaf sweater. My mother sighed in despair and explained to me, if you don't keep this sweater, which fits you perfectly, I'll have to write to Monsieur Eaton and explain that you don't want to wear the Toronto sweater. Monsieur Eaton understands French perfectly, but he's English, and he's going to be insulted because he likes the Maple Leafs. If he's insulted, do you think he'll be in a hurry to answer us? Spring will come before you play a single game just because you don't want to wear that nice blue sweater. So I had to wear the Toronto Maple Leafs sweater. And here we have his mother explaining to him that Monsieur Eaton likes the Toronto Maple Leafs. If she writes a letter saying that he does not want to wear it, Monsieur Eaton here will be insulted. Here he is reading the letter, a hypothetical letter, pretend, imaginary letter that has not been sent. So there we have Monsieur Eaton reading the letter, and he's shocked to see that this young man here, Rocarrier, does not want to wear a Toronto sweater. And if Monsieur Eaton does not respond quickly, then spring will come. And in the spring, there is no hockey because there's no ice. The snow melts, the ice melts, and grass makes way. So, with no sweater, he can't play hockey. And he loves hockey. So, the Toronto sweater is all he has. So, he has to wear it. Let's read what happens next. When I arrived at the skating rink in my blue sweater, all the Maurice Richards in red, white, and blue came one by one and looked at me. The referee blew his whistle, and I went to take my usual position. The coach came over and told me I would be on the second line. A few minutes later, the second line was called. I jumped onto the ice. The Maple Leaf sweater weighed on my shoulders like a mountain. The captain came and told me to wait. He'd need me later. On defense. So, here we have Hook wearing the Maple Leaf sweater as all his teammates, one by one, taking their turns looking at him. The last time they saw him, he was wearing a number 9 Maurice Richard Montreal Canadian sweater, just like them. And now he's the only one wearing a different sweater. Even the cat is looking at him. So, and now he's not playing. Let's see what happens next. So here, everyone that is not wearing the Toronto sweater is playing the game. Everyone wearing the same sweater, all looking at him, who is not playing. He's sitting on the bench, waiting to play. And if we remember, this is the referee. So the referee blew his whistle. This is the whistle. And here he is about to drop the, if we remember what this is called. Very good. Yes, this is a puck. He's about to drop the puck. And they're all on the ice rink wearing their skates with a stick in their hands. So, by the third period, I still had not played, right? Because remember, in hockey, there are 3 periods. So, in the third period, that's almost the end of the game. So, here, normally, Rocarrier, he would start the game. He would play right away. But he did not get to start right away. He was told to play on the second line. And then when the second line got called, he was told to play defense, but he'd be needed later on. And by the third period, I still had not played. Then one of the defensemen was hit on the nose with a stick, and it started to bleed. I jumped onto the ice. My moment had come. The referee blew his whistle and gave me a penalty. He said there were already 5 players on the ice. This was too much. It was too unfair. This is persecution, I shouted. It's just because of my blue sweater. I crashed my stick against the ice so hard that it broke. And here we see the shattered remains of his stick. He was so angry, he threw his stick on the ice, and it broke. And it even scared the cat. What happens next? Oh, here we have another picture. He was so angry, he threw his stick on the ice. And here we have the ref. The referee is blowing his whistle. He gave him a penalty. And here, as he said, there were already 5 players on the ice. And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So he was given a penalty and he threw his stick on the ice and said it was because of his Toronto sweater that he was being given a penalty. I bent down to pick up the pieces of the broken stick. When I got up, the young curate on skates was standing in front of me. My child, he said, just because you're wearing a new Toronto Maple Leaf sweater, it doesn't mean you're going to make the laws around here. A good boy never loses his temper. Take off your skates and go to the church and ask God to forgive you. And here, not far from the rink, we have the church, as the cat is now hiding, probably still scared from that broken hockey stick. And we have the young curate. So the curate, who is the referee, but because he's a curate, he also works in the church. Here he is telling Hook to go to the church as he is bending down to pick up the pieces of his broken stick, while all his friends, everyone else playing, is looking at him. So, wearing my Maple Leaf sweater, I went to the church where I prayed to God. Here we have the doors of the church, the stairs leading up to the doors. And we'll also see another picture. There he is. He took off his skates, he put them over his back, and he's walking to the church. See how pretty it is here. All the snow, the tree covered in snow, a lamp pole so we can see in the dark. So there he is going to church, asking for forgiveness for losing his temper. I ask God to send me right away 100 million moths that would eat up my Toronto Maple Leaf sweater. And here he is in the church. He took the sweater off and he asked for 100 million moths to come and eat his sweater. And there we have it. That is the hockey sweater. Saint-Justine, Quebec. There's Rocarrier, the author, who is also the star of the book. It happened to him. He wrote, I wish to dedicate this story to all girls and boys because all of them are champions. And here we have the back of the book. Remember, we had all of our players in the dressing room doing their hair like Maurice Richard, taping their sticks like Maurice Richard, and tying their skates like Maurice Richard. So that's the book. I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm sharing this right here. That's our book, and that is our lesson for today. So I hope you liked it. I hope it was entertaining. I certainly think that the pictures are very pretty. But yes, this story shows how important hockey is in Canada, and also the rivalry between Toronto Maple Leafs and the Montreal Canadiens. So, thank you for joining today's class, and we'll see you next week. Goodbye.